Village of Southampton to order. Will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you all very much. At this time, we have some mayoral appointments, and I'm going to call on the clerk to read out those mayoral appointments, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Number 1, resolved, Mayor Menger appoints and the Board of Trustees approve Kristen Springsteen to be appointed to the position of Public Safety Dispatcher 2, Southampton Village Police Department, at a salary of $125,016.76, effective Friday, June 14th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I will make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Chief, would you like to get up and just say a few things about how this is going to help the effectiveness of our dispatch, as well as the police department and other emergency services in the village?
Yes. Well, first I want to congratulate Kristen. Kristen's been with us for 13 years. The reason I asked for a second PSD is a few different reasons. One is more supervision and oversight in the communications room. The radio room is where everything begins, as you all know. It's where everyone calls for help. The form of help could be my bag was stolen out of my car when I went for a walk on the beach, to there's a dog running loose in the road, to a woman screaming that her and her husband were just out for a walk and my husband's now collapsed on the street, not breathing. So our radio operators have a real responsibility to our community. They need to compose themselves no matter what the situation is, to be able to multitask and get the right resources to the people who are screaming for the help, and at the same time instruct a distraught mother, wife, or husband on how to do CPR or how to administer an EpiPen. Even though they may know how to do it, but because they're in a sheer panic, their thoughts aren't there. So in order for my communications room to run efficiently and effectively, I need good leadership within that room from people who know how to do the job. And I now have leadership in both Brian LaMonica and now Kristen Springsteen. The other reason, which you'll probably like, is the reduction in overtime.
We definitely like that.
I've had a lot of turnover in that room. That room, quite honestly, has been ignored for the past 4 to 5 years, and it's been severely understaffed. We are now up to staffing levels that will be able to reduce the overtime by putting both Brian and Kristen opposite each other. So we'll have 3 dispatchers in that room. So if we have a dispatcher that calls out, they can sit at the desk, because that's what they know how to do best. And in addition to that, they're going to have administrative duties and functions. And I always like to have a backup plan. They're each other's backup in the event that we have an unforeseen resignation or retirement like we did in November.
Yeah.
So.
And we appreciate that. And I certainly would like to hear from Kristen, and then we'll come down and congratulate you in person. But I'd love you to make a few remarks. Please, yes.
Get used to it. The mayor likes to do that.
I'll keep this very short. I'm not a big public speaker. I just want to say thank you for acknowledging all of my hard work and for believing in me to take this new role. I appreciate it. I spent 13 years here, like Chief Hurto said, and I do love serving this community. It is definitely something that we all admire. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. And I think we're going to come down and congratulate you. And I wanted to see if there was anyone that wanted to. Yeah, why don't you guys come
Wait, turn around. So, well, let's see how we're going to get that in the Sage. How are we going to get that? Come on, come up, go up.
One of them. All right.
There, he's got it. He's got it.
All right. So anyway, congratulations, and I hope we can get a couple of pictures of this. And congratulations to you too. I know it's going to mean that she has to, have a little more of an intense job even, but we appreciate her doing this for the village and residents. Great to have you here as well. Thank you so much. Chief, here. We gotta get in here. And I almost think we should have a sign. Where's the sign? Yes, come on up. Come on.
He's abandoning this.
There you go. Perfect. No, you can stand up. You can stand up.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah, that's good.
That's
All right.
perfect. Congratulations.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, congratulations. And thank you guys for coming.
Yep, yep.
Sorry. I know you guys have to get through there. Yep. Okay, so now we will go on to the next mayoral appointment. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you, Alfie. And your daughter, thank you. Thanks for the sign. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Number 2, resolved, Mayor Menger appoints and the Board of Trustees approve Mark Maddock to be appointed to the position of Acting Assistant Superintendent to the Department of Public Works at a salary of $130,000 effective June 14th, 2024. In this role, Mr. Maddock shall take on the additional responsibilities of Acting Assistant Superintendent for the purpose of serving for and in place of Superintendent Steve Phillips Jr. when he is out of the office, on vacation, sick time, or away on work business. He will also periodically assist Mr. Phillips with some confidential duties. Mr. Maddock will also be moved into management status because of the increased personal and confidential duties and is being granted a wage increase commensurate with these functions and responsibilities that are in addition to the duties of his current position in the central garage, which will continue. Do we have a motion?
I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Mark.
Congratulations.
Would you like to come up and say anything, Mark?
I'll just say thank you for being.
Okay.
Oh, you do, Steve?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
Steve.
All right.
All right.
I just want to thank Mark for stepping up to to do this, because now I can take some time,
Yes.
because to turn that phone off is a pleasure. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. And I will add that Mark has been the longest-serving employee in the Department of Public Works. Correct? Yes, he just beat Steve out. By a few
really?
months, by a few months.
Oh, I didn't know that.
How many years is that?
Is it
Almost
26? What are you at?
It'll be 26 in August.
Okay, I knew I was close. I knew I was close.
Oh, so
Congratulations.
It's less than a year difference.
Yeah.
10-month difference.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great, and thank you for coming too. Okay, so with that, I think we'll move on to the next mayoral appointment. And you guys, thank you very much for coming tonight. Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Number 3, resolved that the mayor and the Board of Trustees hereby rescinds the offer of employment to Gary Pye as assistant to the building inspector, secretary for the planning board in the building department effective immediately. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 4, resolved, Mayor Menger appoints and the Board of Trustees approve Marcella Gambles to be appointed to the position of assistant to the building inspector, FOIL officer, secretary to the planning board in the building department at a salary of $57,000 effective May 29, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 5, resolved that the mayor, with the approval of the Board of Trustees and consistent with Village Code at Section 7-23, hereby appoints Village Attorney Eileen Powers as counsel to the Southampton Village Board of Ethics effective May 1st, 2024, and thereby terminates the services of Jared A. Cashow, Esquire, as counsel to the Board of Ethics. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 6, resolve the Mayor Menger appoints and the Board of Trustees approve Caitlin Presley to be appointed to the position of part-time code enforcement officer, building department, at an hourly rate of $25 effective Saturday, June 1st, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does anyone want to say anything about her joining?
I think we're fortunate that the budget was able to fit in the line of part-time code enforcement officer, and we're fortunate to hire Caitlin Presley as our new part-time code enforcement officer, and she'll be assisting with weekend code enforcement coverage, which is a much-needed thing in this village.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we will now have coverage by code enforcement 7 days of the week. And of course, we always have the police department to help with that as well. Trustee Arresti, did you want to say anything?
Just, I'm very happy about this because many questions have come up since, in light of the fact that the gas leak blowers are now prohibited, that we cannot use them any longer in the village. And the big question is, how is this going to be enforced? So not only do we have two full-time code enforcement officers, but we actually have, well, we actually have two part-timers.
Yeah.
So it will be, and then, of course, when they're not on duty, our police force is on duty, so they're 24/7. However, their first job is to protect the safety of our residents and guests. So there will be 24/7 enforcement of the gas leak blowers. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Resta. All right.
Ready?
Move on.
Number 7, resolve the Board of Trustees accepts the letter of resignation from Ryan McDonald, Cooper's Beach attendant, effective May 16, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 8, resolve the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of Jack Nastry, Cooper's Beach attendant, at a rate of $17 per hour, effective May 21st, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 9, resolve the Board of Trustees approves the appointment of Kenneth A. Gray from the firm of Be Ready Fishbein Hatter Donovan to serve as election counsel to the village clerk in support of village election matters on Friday, June 21st, 2024, effective June 21st, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And this concludes the mayoral appointments for this evening.
Thank you very much. Because this is a work session, there is no public comment, but there is a board presentation that the board has requested from Buckhurst Visjack Marr, our planning consultants who worked on the comprehensive plan, and they will be talking about a proposal for workforce housing in the village of Southampton. Noah Levine, I believe, is going to join us by Zoom. Sage, is he able to be brought in? Okay, thank you very much. And Alex Wallach, our village planner, is also joining us. So thank you, Alex.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
All right, so Sage, we'll go to Noah because I think, does Noah have any slides he wants to share?
Yeah, hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, now you're good. So go ahead, Noah. It's all yours.
Apologies.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for inviting us to speak and present today. I might just pass it to Alex just to introduce what we're doing, and then I'll present some slides just on some of the detailed concepts. But Alex, if you give me a second just to bring up the presentation, I will. Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, then, Alex, I guess we're letting you kick it off.
Yep, as soon as those slides are.
Okay. Excellent. It's up. We can see it.
Okay, great. So the board, I'm sure remembers that in 2022 they adopted and updated the comprehensive plan for the village, which is the village's blueprint for development in the future. One of the areas that was covered in the comprehensive plan was housing, and there were a lot of recommendations specifically with regard to housing, and especially increasing housing types and increasing affordable housing and workforce housing, which is housing for working people of average to moderate income. So specifically, one of the recommendations that was in the plan was to do some further study of areas where the village might increase opportunities for affordable housing. So this concept, which was requested at the direction of the mayor, was developed in response to that. So this is an outgrowth to implement one of those recommendations of the comprehensive plan. So on page 39, just in particular, there was a recommendation the village study locations for middle housing. So middle housing is a term that involves a range of different housing types. So that's something between a single family home and apartment building. We'll look at some examples of that. And then study the percentage of housing that can be set aside for different income ranges. Another recommendation, which we'll get into, is to support those 2 to 4 unit homes, especially in the office corridors, namely OD, the office district, and HRO, the Hampton Road office district, and to discourage single-family homes in that area, but allow for different type of units with a percentage that's set aside for that workforce housing. So now, if you want to go over to the next slide, I'll turn it over to you just to introduce some of the details of the concept. But these are the two corridors that we're primarily focused on today that are highlighted in red. That's the OD office district, which generally follows North Sea Road, and the HRO district, which generally follows Hampton Road. Outside, the single-family districts already allow for accessory apartments in people's homes. And in the village business district, we allow for apartments above stores, but there's some limitations on that. So for this purposes, we're focusing on the office corridor for this type of housing.
Great, thanks, Alex. And so when we got into looking at the zoning constraints, I think it's helpful to understand what the zoning does and what it doesn't do, particularly with regard to housing. So both the office district, OD, and HRO districts do permit single-family, two-family, and multiple dwelling units by special exception. However, there's no specific criteria for the approval of residential uses, and it's our understanding that some applications have gotten hung up at the zoning board of appeals because there isn't necessarily a specific criteria, but what is appropriate or what maybe isn't appropriate. Also, it's our understanding that mixed-use buildings are currently not permitted. Mixed use meaning ground floor commercial with residential on upper floors. Also, the existing office districts have a very low density, so measured in units per acre. So when we look at the HRO along Hampton Road, it's about 3.5 units per acre. And then in the office district along North Sea Road, it's 2.2 units per acre. So that is roughly, for 2.2 units, that's 20,000 square feet per unit, and 3.5, that's about 12,500 square feet per unit. And then also the dimensional requirements that are within the zoning code aren't necessarily conducive to multifamily housing. You have somewhat large setbacks and side yards and so on, and so that's something that we're taking into account. But one of the biggest constraints isn't the zoning itself, but it is the sewer and the sanitary requirements from Suffolk County. But before I get into that, what we are proposing is to increase the density in these districts to 8 units per acre with 25% or more affordability, and then up to 12 units per acre for an all workforce development, so 100%. So there would be a density bonus for the provision of workforce units. But as I said before, there still is the kind of constraint of the septic, which is a significant constraint on density. And you can see here, it's kind of hard to kind of see specifically, but generally these areas are in 2 different groundwater management zones. Zone 4 is the southern side of Hampton Road, and Zone 5 is the north side of Hampton Road, and then also includes North Sea Road. It might seem a little counterintuitive because areas closer to the water are less restrictive, but I think Zone 5 has more of the aquifer areas, and so it is a little bit more restrictive with regard to density around the road. So, sorry, too far. So you might say, okay, well, if there is this septic requirement, isn't that the kind of limit? Well, there are ways to increase your density. One would be the county does provide a program where they allow the use of TDRs, transfer of development rights for septic, to increase density. And then I think it's up to basically double the density. And there's a special program for workforce housing managed by the county. There are some limitations to that. One limitation is that the sending density needs to be in the same area. I think it's either the same town. I'm not sure exactly the criteria, but there's a limited number of credits that are available. So so that's one issue. The county also does provide, on occasion, some variances for septic, depending on, I think they have their own criteria. Also, projects could provide or connect to their own on-site wastewater treatment facility. So if they were on septic, it wouldn't be the same kind of load on the groundwater systems. So there are possibilities to increase density. It's not cheap, and there are other things, but we wanted to make sure that we provide for if there is additional density, that we are getting some workforce housing out there. This slide just shows what that 25% affordability requirement looks like in terms of the number of built units. So you can see here on the slide on the left, for 2, 3, and 4 units built, that would require 1 workforce unit. And since we're rounding up, when you get to the 5th unit, so a 5-unit development, you would need 2 workforce units, and that would continue up to 9 units and so on. And so, I think with this, we're hoping to kind of hopefully get a little bit. It's not a huge number of workforce units, but to achieve some. The table on the right just shows right now, I guess this is the 2022 NASDAQ Suffolk AMI, what that looks like. And you can see that the numbers are actually higher than you might expect. The 100% of the median income is $146,000 roughly. I think that is for a family. Alex, do you know?
I have to double check.
I believe that's for a family, but it's 146,000, and then the monthly rent is 3,600. So just gives you a sense of what we're looking at as far as the AMI is concerned.
And I'll mention that AMI is the area median income that's defined by the federal government for Nassau and Suffolk County. And the rent figures on the right are assuming that the rent would be capped at 2.5% of someone's annual income. That's what those figures are based on.
Right, which then translates into what the allowable rents would be for these units based on the income of the individual or family living there. Thank you.
So, excuse me, because it's a family, how many rooms would those rent, would that be for each of the maximum monthly rent?
Well, the rooms, it's almost a separate thing, but I see what you're saying. I'm not exactly sure how that works out as far as how that corresponds to that, but we could certainly look into that.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll mention the county has different regulations for unit size. So even though the village doesn't have a lot of specific regulations, for example, about how many bedrooms a unit can have, larger units are regulated differently by the health department.
And so one of the next steps is to determine some dimensional requirements to ensure that buildings that are built within the context of these office districts as well as the surrounding single-family neighborhood fabric. And we don't, it's our understanding that we don't necessarily want large, massive buildings that really take up a lot of street frontage. So it would be better to have buildings that perhaps be broken up. So right now, in existing, for example, the existing HRO, building footprints currently for 2-story buildings are limited to 2,000 square feet, regardless of the lot size. So there isn't a sliding scale as there is in some of the other residential districts with regard to coverage and other types of things. It's just like a standard. And so with the HRO with workforce housing, one of the benefits would be a little additional leniency on coverage. So the maximum coverage of any 1 or 2-story building would be 3,000 square feet. But if there were more than one principal building, so if the lot was big enough, you could have each building can have a maximum coverage of 2,500 square feet. However, the development couldn't exceed 25% lot coverage. That's the underlying.
Excuse me, is that gross square feet or livable square feet?
No. So the square feet there, I'm sorry, I'm answering for Noah, but it's for the floor plate, if you will.
So it's gross.
Yes,
It
and then
includes corridors and
yes,
stairways. Okay.
but just so everyone understands, we're proposing two-story buildings. So if they have a floor plate of 3,000 square feet, with the second floor would be an additional 3,000 square feet. So the overall building would be 6,000 square feet, but containing multiple apartments.
Right.
Right.
The project, the OD district has slightly different requirements, and it might be okay to have where the projects meet the existing bulk and dimensional requirements. We're still looking at these numbers to make sure there might be some tweaks that are needed. The underlying districts have fairly large front and side yards, and so we might take a look at those just to make sure that the desired development types can be accommodated. So I think that's something that maybe we still need to look at a little bit more closely, but that can certainly be done. We were hoping to get some feedback from you before we got into those concrete plans. Some other considerations, parking is one. Parking really does determine, is a big determinant of what you can do on any given lot, because you do have to provide those on-site spaces. The existing zoning code requires 2 spaces per unit. We feel that this number is a little bit high. The number, we had some conversations with Bill, and we think that 1 space for a studio, 1.5 spaces for 1 bedroom, 1.75 spaces for 2 bedroom, 2 spaces for a 3 bedroom. That feels generous to us. There's always going to be concern about parking, but that seems generous considering you aren't going to have as many people living in the smaller units. This is higher than one of the Institute of Transportation Engineer estimates for these types of units. But we are obviously flexible. We know that parking is an issue, but this seems conservative to us. Monitoring, of course, is an issue for workforce housing, so that's something that will need to be spelled out. And then also developing specific criteria to assist the ZBA, hopefully to clarify the types of development that are appropriate and aren't appropriate, and with design guidance and so on. We, with the help of Alex, and we came up with some kind of rendered ideas of what development, conceptual developments could look like. Granted, I think the side yards in some of these graphics aren't exactly big enough, but they give you the sense of, I think, the type of architecture and the type of buildings. So this is conceptual 2-unit duplex, side by side. This is conceptual 4-unit parkhouse parking in the rear. And it's worth noting that some of these development types do currently exist, I think, in the MF20 district, adjacent to the Village Center area. So there is precedent for these types of units, historical precedents. A multi-family multiplex development with parking in the rear, and also you could split up the building into smaller buildings, particularly to have more of a cottage courthouse. So there are different options to break up the building. And so that's the end of our presentation at this point. We're happy to take questions. We just wanted to present to you these preliminary ideas. If you support these concepts, they would need to be codified, of course, before it is considered to be incorporated into the zoning code. But we just wanted to get some feedback and open up for questions before we move forward.
Thanks, Noah. And as the board knows, it is something the board was interested in pursuing. Once it's codified into code, there would be public hearings and opportunity for the public to comment if we decide to go in that direction.
No, thank you, Alex. And this was just really for a presentation to the board tonight for the first time on these concepts developed by you and BFJ. But certainly, yes, at the next meeting, when it's a public meeting, we would like to receive public comments on this proposal to see how people feel about it. It would be a way of, again, increasing some affordable workforce housing in the village and giving a more diverse housing stock to the village of Southampton rather than the traditional model of single-family homes on lots. That's the traditional suburban model. This would create something that's a little different. And I will add that, again, it would be in the office district only. So it would only be in those districts and not be in the other residential districts in the village. And as you stated earlier, it's primarily along Hampton Road and North Sea Road that would be areas for this additional type of housing stock. Right now I can think of some buildings that are similar to this on the south side of Meeting House Lane, where there are multiple units in what appears to be just a single-family home. And I think the attempt here is to, again, stay in the context of the village development with buildings that appear to be just very nice single-family homes, but yet contain multiple units within them, so that we can have workforce housing in some of those units. But I'd like to open it up to the board, because certainly we have Noah here who can answer questions, as well as Alex. So I don't know, Len, do you want to ask some questions?
Well, there were a few of the questions I'd appreciate, Alex and Noah, if you could follow up with respect to the apartment sizes, et cetera. And I would be anxious to hear what the public has to say about
Absolutely.
this.
Gina?
I also have the same question about what the rent would be, what size apartments that would be, and would say it's a studio, is it still 2%, 2.5% of the gross wages? Would that be the same for a studio as it is for a 3-bedroom? That was a little confusing to me.
I think this is following, though, Noah, maybe you can, and Alex certainly, isn't this following the guidelines as set forth by the Long Island Workforce Housing Fund? I'm not sure exactly how they describe it.
Yeah, yes, I mean, I don't know the nuances of how it's administered. I do know that essentially what would happen is someone wanted to build a project, they would come in and propose a certain number of units. Let's just say a building with 4 2-bedroom units, let's say there would be workforce housing, and they would provide kind of that, the details and the level of affordability and so on. And monitoring administration would be done by them. But I don't know the exact details of how that would change if a unit was filled with a single person versus a family. We can't find out that information.
Yeah, but just tell me again, this is based on what do they call it? The Long Island, I always forget the terminology.
Yes,
The Long Island Workforce Housing Act.
Long Island Workforce Housing Act. Well, I should be able to figure that one out. Okay, thank you.
But they also put the price tag on it. What it is
They put the
according-
cap of
and
the 2.5% of salary, and the salary is going up from 50% AMI, again, the median income in the area of Long Island, up to 100% of AMI. So you would have to be in that range to be able to qualify, and then based on your annual income, then that would set forth what your rent would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Bill, I should mention the 2.5% that we're showing here is part of the proposal, and this is a village program. So if the village feels that perhaps that's not the right number, that's something that could certainly be changed, or maybe there should be a scale of numbers that relate to unit size. Those are all things that would be up to the village to determine if they're going to implement the program like that.
Right. Well, I'd like to see also what they spell out in the Long Island Workforce Housing Act, just to see what their guidelines are. So I'd have to familiarize myself with that a little bit more. But
we did have a meeting with Suffolk County to talk about their transfer development program. And it's our understanding that they're looking for a minimum of 80%, or they're looking for 80% affordability in order to utilize their credits. So, it's separate from what the village is doing, but if the developer wanted to take advantage of that,
But a developer would have the ability, if they wanted to have an 80% affordable workforce, complex, that they could apply for that. Yeah. All right. So, Robin?
Well, I'm excited, and I want to thank everyone for starting this conversation and the conversation leading into a plan, because plans usually manifest in a very good way. So this is something that our residents have been talking about, requesting, and I'm happy and proud of this administration moving forward in this direction. And I want to thank you, our experts, for guiding and counseling us, and we're looking forward to having an open discussion with the residents to have their input, because this is a team that wants to hear from our residents to serve. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Roy?
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to hear your presentation tonight. Thank you very much. Everything really does revolve around our ability to create more workforce housing in our community here. It affects everything from traffic. As was pointed out at our last board meeting, a lot of the traffic that we see in the village is coming from people who are driving here to work. And if we had more workforce housing in the area, that would lessen that. And it certainly would also help the full season health of our business district if we had people living in the village all year round, not only helping to work for the village businesses, but also partaking in the village businesses offerings. So much needs to be done in this area. And as Trustee Brown said, it's often talked about, we need workforce housing, but it's hard really to get anything done. So I commend the mayor and this board for initiating this proposal and looking forward to getting a robust community response and hopefully a positive community response. That said, there was one question, and I'm wondering if it's feasible or even desirable should this ability to offer workforce housing materialize. There's been some attempt and some statements as to the advisability of somehow earmarking this housing for people who are working in the village or the local area. Is that possible? Is it feasible? And do you determine it to be desirable?
I don't know if I don't think you can put that in the code, right? I think it kind of violates fair housing. That, we could certainly look into that. I know that it's something that comes up all the time, but I don't think you can do that. But, especially if it's something that's required by the village, I don't think it would be required to be for residents of the.
Well, not necessarily the residents of the village, but for example, possibly first responders, volunteer firemen, volunteer ambulance workers. Maybe there would be a way to have them have a preference because of their work on a volunteer basis to the village of Southampton. I think Eileen, as our village council, will have to look into that to see if there's a way that we can put some language in there to say that there's a preference for certain folks that contribute to the community in a direct way.
And some of it also might have to do with if a developer is utilizing federal grants or so on.
That I do understand.
Right.
Yeah.
They not be able to.
No, that I do understand, that the federal government has certain rules and regulations that govern the money that they can make available to developers. But again, a private developer may be able to, again, have these for, local school teachers that work in the Southampton School District, or someone that is a nurse at Southampton Hospital, because they're working for institutions within the village. There might be a way to do that, but I'll have our council look into that. But appreciate your comments, Noah.
So, just a question about next steps. So would the next step to be to propose this concept as was done today at a public meeting, or should we develop this further into zoning and present that to the public?
So I think that we would have to probably flush it out a little bit more for the public to understand exactly what this is going to mean. So I think there would be a zoning aspect to it, but I think there were some other questions that were raised here again about, how big would the units be? Is there a restriction on how big the units can be? They all have to be similar. The ones that will be at market price versus the ones that are workforce. And again, how we would judge what how it works with the income necessarily with the size of the unit and what is able to be charged for that. Because obviously a studio for a single person would be, on the lower end. But, someone who's going to move into possibly a 3-bedroom with a family, that would then have to be at the higher end, obviously, just because of the market factors at play. But, I think if we flush all those things out a little bit more, Noah, that this maybe would be ready for, a public hearing where the public can come and we welcome their comments on this concept to see if it's something they would like to see in the village, or if they have another way of doing it that they think is better, or we'd just like to hear from the public because this will affect the office districts along Hampton Road and North Sea Road. But I'd like to hear comments from people as to how they feel that would work.
And Mayor, to that purpose, I think it would be worthwhile also to do some economic analysis to see what is the vacancy rate in the office area currently. How much money are people charging for their office space, and are they getting that rent? And how would that compare to how much they'd be able to get if they were to use the rent figures that you're proposing for the workforce house? You just see if the economics are apples to apples, or if it, does it work or does it not work? I think that would be worth looking at as well.
So, yeah, and I think, Alex, you could help with that. There you go, you're speaking. Okay, go ahead, Alex.
I should say, to your question about unit size, the village currently sets a minimum apartment size. And so that might be something that we may look at as part of this. I believe it's 600 feet for a one-bedroom or studio, and it would be 700 feet for larger apartments. The county health department does allow smaller units, which generate less flow. So that smaller units could be helpful if the goal is to be able to have more affordable housing. So something the village may want to consider is looking at our existing regulations on unit size as part of this.
And I think, so people understand this, I don't know if we made it clear, the number of units, the size of the units that's proposed is heavily dependent on the amount of wastewater flow. So, for example, a project might be able to do 4 units, let's just say, of studios, but they might only be able to do 1 or 2 of 2-bedroom units, just because of the Southampton requirements.
Sure.
So it's likely that, I don't know the economics, but you'll probably see more buildings with smaller units because you can get more out of it. But again, economics are difficult. But I don't, it would be tough to get a lot of large apartment units with the sanitary environment.
Well, and we don't have really large lots left in these parts of the village that we're discussing now. It looks like there could be possibly larger units on the south side of Hampton Road because it's in the different zoning district as per Suffolk County Board of Health. But it also should be noted that the village's sewer plan is to go along North Sea Road. So if these units could tap into a future built sewer, that would make a big difference because they would be allowed, to by the Suffolk County Board of Health because of having directed sewerage as opposed to using a septic system. That would be a game changer, exactly. So it's something that maybe not something that takes off right away, but again, once the sewer was built, certainly North Sea Road could become an area that would have some interest specifically for this type of housing stock.
We would have to measure the estimated flow versus what this estimated flow would be. I mean, there's some
Right.
calculations
Yeah.
that we would have
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. So there's more work to be done, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. No, I was just gonna say, I'm not quite sure when we think we should schedule this public hearing, because I think we do need some more basic
Oh, no, we need
facts.
more
Yeah,
time. I mean, this
right.
might not be something until later in the summer.
I see.
It depends on, again, getting the information and Alex being able to work on this project, right, Alex? There's no immediate rush right this evening to do this. But I think we definitely want to hear from the public, and so I would welcome the public to come to the next meeting in June to maybe give some preliminary feedback on this proposal and see how it's received by the village residents. And that may factor into, again, exactly how BFJ wants to proceed with this after we get some feedback from the public. So I think that's it for this evening on this. But thank you very much, Noah and Alex, for being available to present this to the village board and to those watching at home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, Noah. And Alex, yeah, sorry. All right, so should we go to suggested resolutions?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Number one, resolve the claims for the warrant dated May 21st, 2024, totaling $343,250.49. Warrant number A21, General Fund, $373,748.40. Warrant number H12, Capital Fund, and $96.56. Warrant T-22, Trust Fund, are audited and approved. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Julie, did you want to say anything about any of this? Okay. Okay. Let's go. Continue.
Number two, resolve the reading of the minutes for the December 2023 Board of Trustee meetings are dispensed, accepted as filed by the village clerk, and the actions taken at those meetings are hereby ratified and approved. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number three is a resolution adopting the importing fill law. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering a local law amending Chapter 116-2, Definitions and Word Usage, Chapter 116-38, Site Plan Review, and adding Chapter 116-18.2, Importation and Exportation of Fill, to the Village Code of Southampton to limit and require a permit and/or a site plan approval for the importation, exportation, or excavation of fill to or from properties from within the village. And whereas the Village of Southampton's planning director has conducted a review of the proposed action, and whereas the matter was referred to the Suffolk County Planning Commission for review pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 239-M, and whereas on May 7th, 2024, the Suffolk County Planning Commission staff issued a letter of local determination, and whereas a public hearing was held by the Village Board of Trustees on May 9th, 2024, at which time all persons either for or against the amendment were heard, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed local law is considered an unlisted action under 6 New York Code of Rules and Regulations, Part 617.4, which are provisions of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. And whereas the Southampton Village Planning Director prepared a short environmental assessment form, Part 1, dated May 1st, 2024, and a full EAF form, Part 2, dated May 9th, 2024, and signed May 21st, 2024, which identified no or small impacts may occur, and drafted a full EAF form, Part 3, dated May 9th, 2024, and signed May 21st, 2024, which determined there would be no significant adverse impacts on the environment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby assumes lead agency status, as there are no other involved agencies, and issues a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA, as there are no significant negative environmental impacts anticipated by this zoning amendment. And be it further resolved that local law number 20 of 2024 is hereby adopted.
I will make the motion.
Second.
Discussion, just again, for the public's edification, this is really to try to control the amount of fill that some residents have put onto their properties, whereas last summer we had some issues with properties that had a significant amount of fill added and elevating their properties. And when we had some of those very heavy rains Unfortunately, water runs to the lowest point, and it was going onto neighbors' properties to a heavy degree. And so this is really to regulate that. The engineers have to make sure that, again, the properties are going to be able to contain the water up to 2 inches on site before it affects neighbors. And this is legislation that's been enacted in other villages nearby, and it seemed like this was a good thing to do for the village of Southampton to, again, make sure that we're protecting neighbors from too much fill on properties. So with that, I'll ask for a call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye. Resolve the Board of Trustees authorizes the village clerk to publish the attached notice to bidders in the next edition of the Southampton Press, and notice to bidders notice is hereby given that sealed bids for the supply of windows will be received by the village clerk at 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, no later than Friday, May 31st, 2024 at 2 p.m. Bid number Southampton Village 2024-03. Specifications may be examined and obtained at the office of the village clerk between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. The village of Southampton reserves the right to reject and declare invalid any or all bids and to waive any informalities or irregularities in the proposals received, all in the best interest of the village. Each proposal must be submitted on the forms provided in the bid package in a sealed envelope with the name of the bidder and the bid name marked clearly on the outside of the envelope. So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion?
Discussion. I'd just like to explain what this is. This is all part of what we're doing here at Village Hall, restoring this building. And we've been working on the inside with Johnson Controls, updating the HVAC and everything in here is being updated. But this is specifically for the first floor windows that are historic. They cannot be restored. They have to be replaced. So this is, we'd like to keep the historic look of the building, and that's what this bid is for. So these are the windows that are in clear view on the first floor that are historic. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next resolution is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement to expand the eligibility for the village's 401A plan to include all non-union employees who meet specific criteria. Whereas the village previously enacted a 401A special pay plan as a benefit for employees leaving village employment, and whereas since the plan requires 100% participation of eligible employees, the village initially limited participation, and whereas there has been an interest by employees leaving village service in participating in the plan, and whereas use of the 401A plan by an employee does not cost the village any money and in fact provides a financial savings to the village, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor of the Village Board of Trustees to enter into and execute an agreement effective February 1st, 2024, expanding the eligibility for the 401A plan to all non-union employees meeting specific criteria, subject to the approval of the village attorney. By way of explanation, the 401A special plan, it's a type of deferred compensation plan program offered to village employees as they exit village employment. It's a zero cost to the village, actually saves the village money in employer contributions to payroll taxes, for example, FICA and Medicare. When an employee puts money into the 401A upon exiting, it's usually vacation pay or something like that. It's not counted as income, and thus the village is not required to pay their share of the payroll taxes on that money. So it's a benefit for employees, and it is at no cost to the village, and an actual savings to the village. So.
And Eileen, when the retiree then draws down the money, those taxes are paid
by the
employee,
not by the village.
Right, so
correct.
It works like a 401k.
Exactly,
Right.
or a 403B for
exactly.
a municipality, right.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 6, resolved. The Board of Trustees hereby accepts from Harry Epstein and Sue Roth, Southampton residents, their donation of a light tower to the Southampton Village Police Department. The board extends their appreciation for this generous donation. This family had purchased a light tower to be used at a function, and then found that, it was surplus. And so they have kindly reached out to the police department and said they would like to donate this. The chief is excited that we're going to get to have this additional equipment that could be used, obviously, at nighttime when the village needs much more light on a certain specific situation. So I'm very grateful to Mr. Epstein and Ms. Roth for this donation to the village. And with that, I will make the motion to accept this donation.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, resolve the Board of Trustees approves the funding as a cost share to the Southampton Town Trustees Pipe and Plover Program in the amount of $9,850 to be paid from trustee special projects.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 8, resolve the Board of Trustees approves the following attached budget modification, number 365, for fiscal year end May 31st, 2024, for various budget line shortfalls. Total transfer of $567,020.23. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the zoning map for the village of Southampton has not been updated in a considerable period of time, whereas the village board of trustees is interested in updating the zoning map, including individual lot lines and streets, based on current GIS information, as well as including the historical district, school district, arts and culture overlay district, and tidal floodplain overlays to the zoning map. And whereas the village board of trustees requested and received a proposal from Squires, Holden, Weisenbacher, and Smith to create said zoning map. Now therefore be it resolved, the village board of trustees authorizes the mayor to sign the proposal for said work at a cost not to exceed $13,525 to be paid for by trustee special projects A1010.443 upon the approval of the village attorney. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the salary increase for land use boards, Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, ARB, Planning Board, Planning Commission, and Zoning Board, ZBA, as follows. Effective June 1st, 2024, the chairperson will be increased from $6,000 to $6,500, and members will be increased from $4,000 to $5,000 annually, paid on a quarterly basis. Do I have a motion? Yes.
Yes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolve the Board of Trustees approves the refund request received from the Southampton Village Building Department pertaining to a building permit fee in the amount of $10,328.40 received from Alexam Holdings, LLC of 161 Miller Road, where they no longer wish to proceed with the proposed project. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Resolve the Board of Trustees approves Thomas Ruinski to be promoted from the position of Maintenance Mechanic 3 in the Parks Department, Department of Public Works, to the new position of Maintenance Mechanic 4 at a salary of $85,273.15 effective June 14th, 2024. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
13, resolve, the Board of Trustees accepts the resignation of Southampton Village Fire Department Hook and Ladder Company Number 1 member Mark Westerhoff with 41.51 years of service and is now exempt with an effective date of May 5, 2024. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. I just want to say and express my gratitude to Mark for his 41 years of dedicated service to the Southampton Village Fire Department. When queried why he was hanging up his helmet and boots, he said that the Hook and Ladder Company needs a new member, and there is a person that they could sign up, and so he is going to step aside, doing his civic duty, which he has done with such great honor for so many years, as his father did, which to me was tremendously moving that he would make that statement and follow in his father's footsteps. So I congratulate him and thank him for all that he's done for the village. If we could now have a vote on the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 16.
No, starting with 14.
Oh, thank you. Number 14. Resolve, the Board of Trustees approves Southampton High School to host a day at the beach at Cooper's Beach on Friday, June 7, 2024 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The rain date is Thursday, June 26, 2024.
Want me to make a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves Southampton High School Oceanography class to host a beach cleanup at Cooper's Beach on Saturday, June 8, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The rain date is Saturday, June 15, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves request received by Brenda Simmons of SAM to waive a tent permit fee of $100 for following upcoming events. 4th Annual Juneteenth Celebration on Saturday, June 15th, 2024, and the Arts Collaboration on Saturday, July 20th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 17. Resolve, the Board of Trustees approves Southampton Intermediate School to host 6th grade day at Down Family Park on Monday, June 17, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The rain date is Wednesday, June 19, 2024 or Thursday, June 20th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 18, resolve, the Board of Trustees approves the Southampton Intermediate School to host 8th grade day at Cooper's Beach on Friday, June 21st, 2024 from 8:30 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. SVOR will be coordinated and on-site for this event.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolve, the Board of Trustees approves the event application received by Christopher C.J. Hagan for the memorial event to be held at Agamon Park on Saturday, June 22nd, 2024 at 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I would now like to make a motion to have 2 walk-on resolutions. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we will go to the walk-on resolutions for today.
Roy going.
Roy.
So, the walk-on resolution is, whereas the Village of Southampton Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation is seeking to undertake an intensive level survey of architectural and historic structures in 2 areas directly adjacent to the existing Southampton Village Historic District for consideration of inclusion in the village's historic district. And whereas, based on the findings of the 2022-2023 reconnaissance level historic resources survey, the BARHOP has determined that the northwest and southern expansion areas are the most vulnerable to demolition and insensitive redevelopment in the village. And whereas the BARHOP has also determined that without protection through landmark or historic district designation, these neighborhoods are threatened by demolition and insensitive redevelopment. And whereas the village will apply to the 2024 Certified Local Government Grant Program for support in the amount of $50,000 for the project survey. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton hereby authorizes the mayor to execute any and all documents pertaining to the village's application to the 2024 Certified Local Government Grant Program to support estimated project costs up to $50,000 associated with the Southampton Village Intensive Level Historic Resource Survey, Northwest and Southern Expansion Areas. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one. Whereas the safety of pedestrians and cyclists residing in or visiting the village is of the utmost concern to the village, and whereas the failure of motorists to come to a full stop at intersections controlled by a stop sign has become an increased problem in the village and thus an increased risk to pedestrians and cyclists, And whereas the village, like all small municipalities, lacks the resources to conduct live surveillance at all such intersections, and whereas technology is available to conduct such surveillance using cameras, and whereas the New York State Legislature has prepared a law to amend the vehicle and traffic law in relation to owner liability for failure of an operator to comply with stop signs in designated villages located within the counties of Nassau and Suffolk, and whereas the village of Southampton is willing to participate in the pilot program for the benefit of the village and its residents. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Southampton supports the legislation known as the Protect Our Pedestrians Act, pending in the New York State Legislature at S 7064-C and A 10169-B, which shall authorize the village to participate in a pilot program to install and operate a stop sign photo violation monitoring system. And be it further resolved that the Village of Southampton Board of Trustees recommends immediate passage of said bills to help address the safety concerns of pedestrians and cyclists. I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolve, the Board of Trustees accepts the letter of resignation from Andrew Polaro, Cooper Speech Attendant, effective May 21st, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of Tanner Marrow, Cooper Speech Attendant, at the rate of $17 per hour, effective May 21st, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That concludes the supplemental. Now we will go to comments from board members. We will start with Deputy Mayor Aresta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The DPW has been very busy this week, getting ready for the big weekend coming up, finishing the flower boxes, finishing all the work on North Sea Road. I look forward to seeing all the flags flying for the weekend on the new light poles that have been installed along North Sea Road. It's going to be fantastic. Also this week, well, actually next week, there's going to be some paving that is going to be done. North Sea Road, Hillcrest, and Wyandanch that goes into Old Town. That's all correct, right? And that's probably going to happen on Wednesday. So Wednesday to Thursday, we hope. We just got notice of that today because the utility companies have been working in those areas. So they're going to come in and repave. So we'll take it when we can because they do actually do the repaving. So we're happy about that. So the notices will go out tomorrow, be on the website, and also we'll probably put our portable signs out to let everybody know that the paving will be done, and hopefully it will be done in 2 days. So a little exciting news up in the building department. They updated the system that they take money in there. So it's cashless now. So you can actually pay with a check or you can pay with a credit card. So it's the Clover system, and it's already at Cooper's. It's in the clerk's office. It's much easier for reconciliation and tracking. And if you do, I'll just tell you, if you do use a credit card, there is a 3% charge on the credit card, but not for a check. Right? Oh, 3.5. Okay, 3.5. But anyway, I think some people are used to that. But of course, we could take a check, but it is cashless there now as well. The other thing I wanted to mention is that Memorial Day weekend, and Monday is our Memorial Day service. It starts at the Presbyterian Church at 11 o'clock in the morning, and they start there at 10:45. So the people that participate, the military, walk down Job's Lane, and then the service in Agawam Park starts at 11 a.m. So I would, that would be wonderful if we could see attendants there to honor those that have lost their lives for our freedom. Now, if the mayor's going to help me with this one, there was some question about the flag display that we have in Monument Square. Sage, if you could take a picture of, get that, what I have on the table, please. That is actually a maritime flag. And the mayor's going to explain exactly what that is. And there is when Sage gets it up, you'll see that across the street from the flag, explaining what kind of flagpole this actually is. So I'll let you take that description there.
Yeah, so, and there is a sign, as Deputy Mayor just said, that is located in Agawam Park opposite Monument Square, so that it's actually the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Square that can be read. So it explains that this is a nautical flagpole because of our nautical history here in the village of Southampton. So if you fit your yardarm flagpole with a gaff, which we have. The gaff is what is sticking out from the side of the main pole, extending at a right angle to the yardarm. The U.S. flag should be flown from a halyard leading up to the gaff. Other flags should be flown from the top of the mast, with state flags or other flags flown from the yardarm's halyards. In the case of a gaff-mounted flag, it may seem inappropriate to not display the U.S. flag at the top of the mast. However, this ties in with the naval tradition outlined above and harkens back to the days when the flag was flown at a sailing ship's stern, much the way it appears off of that gaff, as you see in the picture. So I know that some people think that we are doing this improperly, but I just want to point out that this is the proper way to fly the American flag on a nautical flagpole with a gaff.
So I spoke with Mr. Gene Dombrowski today, who is at one time head of the Parks Department, correct? And he told me that for some reason he remembers the date that that flagpole was installed. It was May 13th, 1985. He says, I don't know why I remember that date, but it's in my head. So he told me that Roy Rhines, senior, who's no longer with us, Bill Frankenbach, they were all Air Force, Maritime, Navy men. They decided, he can't remember why, but they had decided that they were going to put this type of flagpole up, a maritime flag. But I think because it's in Monument Park, which it was originally erected in 1897, and it was in memory of the soldiers and sailors of Southampton who had served. So little history.
Yeah, and the additional history is that Elihu Root, who was a summer resident of the village with a home on Pond Lane, actually was the Secretary of War of the United States. And he generously got those cannons and the cannonballs donated from the federal government and brought up to Southampton and placed in Monument Park. And that was in, again, about 1900, right around there. So, again, it was thanks to a donation from a resident of the village that we have those actual cannons from the U.S. government at our Monument Park today.
And the chains are actually made from cannons, the chains that you see around the park as well. So it was very interesting to dig into that a bit. So just one last thing. Friday, I went to the South Fork Commuter Coalition, had a rally in Hampton Bays. And it was very interesting. The dignitaries came from all over the east end of Long Island. Senator Laval was there, Fred Thiel, Ed Romaine, and they're not asking, they are going to demand better service on the South Fork, increase the train service to the South Fork. There were nurses there from the hospital. There were educators there that take the commuter train in the morning, and it's just not enough. So we do need a third line there, but I was very happy to participate in this. You might see it on Channel 12 News. They were all there, and so hopefully we can get some traction with that. But it was a very interesting rally that I participated in on Friday afternoon. And with that, I hope to see everybody at the Memorial Day service on Monday. Happy Memorial Day.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Resta. We will now go to Trustee Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, as we're getting to cruise into our summer, I just want to take a moment to just say thank you. There's so much work that is done, and we take the time to give our reports, but I think it'd be a nice gesture to say thank you. And let's just start by saying thank you to all of our Village Hall staff. I want to say thank you for expanding the hours and your flexibility to accommodate our residents. So thank you. I want to thank the building department. I want to thank the Department of Works and Parks, because I know that your schedules has picked up because you are doing your very best to prepare our village to be beautiful and safe for the summer. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you, Julie, to you and your team, because I know this is your time of crunching numbers and making sure everything is well. And, you know, a financial institution being, you know, balanced well, and a foresight that you have, and also contributing to our AAA bond. I'd like to take this time to say thank you. I'd like to say thank you to our safety departments, the police department, our ambulance, our fire, what they do each and every day, what our fire department does as far as preparing and going on the road with fire prevention training, with CPR. I want to thank our police department that is preparing and planning for our roads to be safe. I want to take the time to thank our lifeguards for staying in shape, therefore being able to be responsive for us. And I'm very grateful to my board here that did approve some time ago that our ability to increase our additional jet ski. That was very important to me, and the board supported me on that because that's another great tool that's used for safety. And I'd like to take the time to thank our grant writer. It's so important because when we have a grant writer that can bring us additional funds, that is saving from our budget and keeping our taxpayers and residents happy. So I hope I have not forgotten any of the departments, and if I did, forgive me, and let me just say thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just would like to echo Trustee Aresta's statement. It is a big weekend coming up. People are opening up their pools and planning parties and maybe dusting off their golf clubs. But it is Memorial Day weekend. And to me, just one of the most significant days of our year to honor those who not only served, but also who made the ultimate sacrifice in protecting our freedom. So on Monday, as Trustee Aresta said, there will be a parade of veterans from the Presbyterian Church down to Memorial at Lake Agawam Park. And I will look forward to joining my fellow trustees in marching with the veterans. I am not a veteran myself, but I will be marching as a representative of this village to express my extreme gratitude and appreciation for those who did serve. So looking forward to everybody coming to that event and also joining us for the memorial ceremony at Agawam Park at 11 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. Trustee Zananti.
Thank you, Mayor. In addition to the Memorial Day service that has been described on the weekend, will begin on Friday with a reception at Veterans Hall on Friday, May 24th from 5 to 7 p.m., where local veterans are invited to share their personal stories. So I encourage everyone to attend that kickoff to Memorial Day weekend. As we enter into the summer, there are some cultural notes that I would like to mention. The Southampton Arts Center has a wonderful exhibit called Beyond the Streets, which is post-graffiti. And that will run until July 20th. And it basically takes graffiti to an accepted and legitimate art form. And it's a wonderful, wonderful exhibit. The Peter Marino Foundation also has an exhibit of Richard Deacon, who is a sculptor, wonderful work with wood until July 13th. So I encourage people to attend those two things as we enter into summer. And I'd like to say that I attended with the mayor and deputy mayor the senior tea at the History Museum on May 14th, and we had a wonderful time, and it was a great uplifting experience. Thank you all, and have a good night.
Thank you, Trustee Zananti. I have a few updates on what I've been doing recently, as well as some other upcoming events of interest to village residents and visitors. I attended the 25th anniversary of the Community Preservation Fund. at Good Ground Park in Hampton Bays on May 11th. It was well attended. We had a booth or a table with pictures showing the properties within the village that have been acquired with CPF money, which is fantastic. And we're looking to receive additional funding for additional properties that the village would like to preserve in perpetuity. I also last week went up to NICOM, the New York Council of Mayors at Bolton Landing to have some training and meet with other mayors and discuss with them issues that they're facing in their villages. And one of the biggest issues that came out of that meeting was the proposed new rules by OSHA and how they will affect our EMS services in the village. So the village will be submitting a comment letter to OSHA by the deadline of June 20th, voicing our concern and opposition to the implementation of these rules, which will adversely affect volunteer departments such as our fire department and our ambulance department, and it would probably also affect ocean rescue. So we're very concerned that this one-size-fits-all regulation being promulgated, rule being promulgated by OSHA is really meant for paid fire departments in urban centers and really is not applicable and should not be applicable to village volunteer outfits like we have here. So we will be responding to OSHA. I also on Sunday went to the First Baptist Church of Bridgehampton to celebrate their 100th anniversary. And I got to meet Pastor Tisha Dixon Williams. She was outstanding, and many other dignitaries were there to provide proclamations. And I would like to invite her to come here to the village so that I could give her a proclamation here in the village for being such a great neighbor and providing a wonderful church and spiritual experience just down Montauk Highway in Bridgehampton. Talking about infrastructure projects, I did go with Steve Phillips from our Department of Public Works to speak to the town trustees about the Boyson Road culvert that is failing over Taylor Creek, right there in the middle of Boyson Road. And we are looking to get a letter from them of support to, again, replace that and restore the infrastructure there. We're looking for a grant and a letter from the town trustees because of their oversight of bodies of water, in this case Taylor Creek, due to the Dongan patent would be very, very helpful. Finally, I just want to mention that the lights are being installed finally on North Sea Road, and I think they're going to look fantastic at the entry to the village. This weekend, I'm trying to get the flags in for Memorial Day. And I want to thank everyone from DPW for their help with that. I have actually now even received letters and phone calls were coming in today from residents that don't even live in the village, that live further north, say that coming into the village now, it really looks like a class act. And I think the improvements are going to be well received by everybody. The new trees are beginning to have their leaves, and the islands have been planted, and I think it's going to be a real great addition to this village. And these are some of the infrastructure projects that are so important and make a difference to the way people feel about this village and the way it appears to visitors when they come here. Finally, there was one other event aside from the parade and ceremony that we held in Agawam Park on Monday, Memorial Day, and even the event that Trustee Zananti talked about that's being done in conjunction with the Southampton History Museum at Veterans Hall on Friday evening from 5 to 7 p.m. There is an event on Thursday that is going to be honoring, and I will be giving proclamations, certificates to the East End Military Service. Those students from the Hampton Bays High School, Southampton High School, and West Hampton Beach High School are all coming to Agawam Park on Thursday at 10 a.m. Those students that will be entering the military upon graduation. And I really think it's important for the public to show their support. I'm inviting veterans, families, all are encouraged to attend to really, salute these young people who have decided upon graduation from high school to enter the military. And it's all branches of the military. And I will be very honored to be there with them and to recognize them and present them with a certificate from the Village of Southampton for their decision to go into the service. And there will be even a reception following afterwards at the Southampton Elks. So I encourage people to come 10 a.m. Thursday morning to Agawam Park to meet these young people before they graduate and go off to serve this country. With that, I again wish everybody a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Think about those that have passed in their service to this country. And finally, for those that still need to get beach stickers, the village office, as we did last weekend, and this has been the first time in many, many years, the village office will be open on Saturday of Memorial Day weekend from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. for those that would like to pick up a village beach sticker. So with that, I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting to go into executive session to discuss legal and contractual matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The time now is 8:11. We are coming out of executive session where no action was taken. At this time, I'm asking the board, making a motion to this board to adjourn this meeting of the Board of Trustees. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Good
Have a
night.
good evening.
Good night.